What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. So some breaking news, some big news has happened today. One, we got the Buffs out there working like they're Navy SEALs, which is some fantastic stuff. We're going to talk all about that in another video. But today what has happened is Jim Harbaugh is moving on from Michigan. I know, the floodgates are about to open up in Michigan. And what does that mean for Buffalo? We got to talk about it. Oh my goodness, breaking news as Jim Harbaugh is headed off to the Los Angeles Chargers, now going to be his second stint as an NFL coach. Obviously, he was a head coach with the 49ers not too long ago, made it to the Super Bowl, lost to his brother. Now he got his championship under his belt at Michigan, hit his stamp, and went on headed out. Now, what does this mean? Well, now we know that Michigan is going to open up for 30 days, just like Alabama and Washington did just a few weeks ago, which we saw how Alabama just got absolutely wrecked. I said Alabama does not hold the same type of a symbol or just basically brand as like a Michigan and Ohio State does. Saban carried that weight down there in Alabama, but Michigan and Ohio State, I firmly believe they have built such a great brand that you kind of can chug in a couple coaches and it's going to hold its stature. Now, with the new age of NIL, that could all change, and we're about to find out here in the next 48 to 30 days, 48 hours to 30 days, I guess you could say. So Michigan opens up, right? A lot of talk on Brian Kelly from LSU head coach heading to Michigan as the replacement for Jim Harbaugh, which would mean now you've got Michigan and LSU that has a ton of talent that would be available, again, from the transfer portal. Colorado has 5 spots of scholarship left. A few things to note. Everybody catch their breath. Let's reel this thing back in, okay? First option for the Jim Harbaugh situation is that Sharon Moore, their offensive coordinator, stays in Michigan. That is the best case scenario for Michigan right now, because if that were to happen, I believe they did such a great job with Harbaugh being out half the year due to punishment. Sharon stepped up and was able to win a lot of football games and big-time games, including the last 3 games against Penn State, 2 games against Penn State and Ohio State, and got the business done. So if he were to take over that position, I wouldn't see Michigan falling apart as much people may think it will. Another thing to keep in mind, no matter what happens here, is we've only got a day or so left before the window closes for kids to enroll to be part of the spring program. So if anybody were entering into the portal right now, sure, they could commit to a school, but they wouldn't be able to participate in any of the spring football from my understanding. Now, they may adjust this rule a little bit, so that is something to keep in mind. It almost makes you wonder if Jim Harbaugh released this at the perfect time to make it almost seem as if, look, you really don't have much of a choice but to stay at Michigan, or you're going to be floating around for the spring. Now, they could stay in spring, right? Which would allow Sharon, if he is to get the position, to sell those guys while they just stay. But again, it's going to open up back in May, so they could still leave. But it almost, in a sense, traps them, because why go out in limbo for 3 months and not have anywhere to train or go to school because you're too late on signing up. Now, let's say Sharon does not take the position at Michigan and Brian Kelly does head up to Michigan. What does that mean for Bryce Underwood? As of now, the 2025 class, they have the number 1 wide receiver, the number 1 running back, and of course, the number 1 quarterback, LSU does, in Bryce Underwood. Now, we all know that Colorado was in this recruiting heavily, so a lot of people are wondering, like, hey, does this mean that Bryce Underwood now becomes a top target for Colorado now that LSU is seemingly out of the mix because Brian Kelly? I had to think no, because his second option and where he is from is Michigan. Michigan was another option for him. Now, was it because he wanted to play for Harbaugh? I don't know. And they've done a great job of recruiting. Michigan has for quite some time, so they've got some great statures there. Well, look, this thing is going to get blown wide open, I believe. I believe the way this thing stays as quiet as possible is if Sharon Moore were to stay in Michigan, you're going to have some fallout, of course, like you would anytime, but not as much if Brian Kelly were to go to Michigan. If that whole domino effect happens, you have not only Michigan and LSU now under this 30-day window, but also whoever takes the LSU job could be in the same boat as well. So this is something we're going to be keeping our eyes on. I had to hop in here, tell you guys, break this news to you again. We've got to talk about the Navy SEAL workouts that were happening today. I have a ton of thoughts and opinions about that. Thought it was fantastic stuff, watching it, taking it in. Going to give you guys all the takes on that. So be sure to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next video. It's going to be dropping here next couple hours, so keep your eyes peeled. I'll see you. Peace.